Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Anurodh Godha from School of Commerce and Management, Vardhaman Mahavir Open University, Kota. Today we are going to talk on the module Placement and Induction Part 1st and from paper Human Resource Management. So students, let's see what we are going to learn in this module. In this module, we will understand the meaning and characteristics of placement. In this module, we will come to know the principles of good placement practices in an organization. We will be able to understand the various benefits of good placement practices. And we will also know the meaning and objective of induction program. And you will be also able to point out the various types of induction programs. After this module, you will come across the various phases of induction program. And after learning this module, you will be able to develop and understand various approaches of induction programs. Students, selection and placement are often inseparable parts of a single process. After the selection process is over, an employee is put to a specific job for which he has been selected. In very simple words, placement means sending the newly employed person to some department for the work. Placing the right man at the right job is as important as hiring the right person. It is therefore desirable to have a sound scheme of placement in every organization, so that the employees feel comfortable on their new jobs. Students, placement helps the new employee in finding a job in synchronization with what has been promised by the employer at the time of selection. The selection procedure ends with the placement of a worker to the job. The term placement is nothing. It is posting of people to the department, to the job, which is matching to their ability. Placement involves assigning a specific rank or assigning a specific responsibility to an individual. It is matching the requirement of the job with the qualification of a candidate. Placement. What is placement? Let's go through some definitions. Placement consists in matching supervisor's perception about what new employees can do with what the job demands, like job requirements, and imposes strains and working environment, and offers in the form of pay, interest, companionship, and other promotional possibilities. Students, after defining what is placement, we can summarize the characteristics of placement. The characteristics of placements are: it is an important human resource activity for an organization. It is the actual posting of an employee to a specific job. In other words, it is assigning particular job like specific rank and responsibility to the employee for which they have been identified suitable through the selection process. It involves the task to be understand and capitalize on each person's individuality. Once the manager establishes a unique profile for each individual, people and jobs can be matched optimally within the constraints set by available jobs and available people. The next characteristics we can draw is: it involves striking a fit between requirement of a job and qualification of a candidate. Students, the next characteristics is: placement should be made with as minimum disruptions to the employee and organization as well as possible. Effective placement is a good match of employees' competence, knowledge, skills, and the job interest. Students, after going through the characteristics of placement, now we will learn the principles of a good placement. The first principle is: the job should be offered to the selected candidates according to their qualification. The placement should neither be higher nor lower than the qualification. The next principle is employee should be placed on the job according to the job requirement. The job should not be adjusted according to the requirement of the employee. If a candidate adjusts himself to the job and continues to perform as per expectations, it might mean that the candidate is probably properly placed. Job first, employee next should be the principle of placement. The next principle is the employee should be made familiar to the working condition prevailing in the organization, and an effort should be made to develop a sense of loyalty in newly selected employee. Through developing the sense of loyalty, it might possible that he may realize his responsibility better towards the organization. The next principle is initially the placement period may be temporary as changes are likely after the completion of training. The employee may be later transferred to the job where he can better justice. Students, proper placement helps to improve employee morale. Right placement also helps to reduce labor turnover, absenteeism, and accident rates. Students, the benefits of placement will be discussed. The benefits of placement may be classified into two ways: benefits taken by the new employee, benefits to the recruiting organization. In first, we will discuss benefits to the new employee. The new employee get the following benefits. Through the placement, he make himself suitable to the job. A good placement increase the satisfaction level of the employee. And if the employee will be satisfied, then definitely there will be an increase in productivity and profitability. The benefit to the new employee is that it continues learning and the morale will be very high. The benefits of placement to the recruiting organization may be reduction in cost and save the productive time involved in hiring process. It improves the quality of new employee. It enhances the retention. At the same time, it also improves the efficiency and working in the organization. The benefit of placement may be drawn like it is achievement of organizational goals. Students, if placement is neglected, it may increase employee absenteeism. It may increase turnover, accident rates, and poor performance from the employee side. The employee may quit the organization in frustration, complaining about the organization and criticizing about the organization and everything happening in the organization. Students, now in this module, after learning placement, we will discuss on induction or orientation. Students, when a new employee joins an organization, he should be welcomed as a new member of the family and must be helped to get acquainted and adjusted with his fellow employees and his work environment. Induction is a technique by which a new employee is rehabilitated into his surrounding and introduced to the practices, policies, and purposes of the organization. The new employee is a complete stranger to the people, to the workplace, and to the work environment. Thus, induction is a welcoming and socializing process. The idea of induction is to welcome a newcomer, make him feel at home, and generate in him a feeling that it is his own job. However, whatever the condition of job, small, big, whatever, but it is very meaningful and it has a significance as a part of the total organization. Students, initial impression counts much in the attitude of the employee towards the job and towards the company. Gary Dassler says, carefully selecting employee doesn't guarantee that they will perform effectively. Potential is one thing, but performance is the another thing. Sometimes even high potential employees cannot do their jobs if they don't know what to do and how to do it. Therefore, managers should ensure that employees do know what to do and how to do that. This is the purpose of orienting and inducting the employees. Thus, all organizations have some type of formal or informal induction program. Students, now we will learn the meaning and basic definitions of induction. Induction is designed to provide a new employee with the information he needs to function comfortably. Means it is a function in which we provide the information related to n number of aspects to the new employee. And after getting the information, he would be able to effectively function in the organization. Induction may be viewed as the socialization process by which organization seeks to make an individual its agent for the achievement of its objectives. Organizations see as an individual as an agent to achieve the goals, and the individual seeks organization as a medium of achievement of his personal goals. According to Michael Armstrong, what he says? He says, induction is a process. It is a process of receiving and welcoming the employee. Means when the employee is placed, after placing the employee at the department, he is received and he is welcomed. This is induction. So what he says again, I'll repeat, induction is a process of receiving and welcoming employees when they first join to the company and giving them the basic information which are needed to settle down quickly and happily to start the work. According to Edwin B. Filippo, induction is the welcoming process to make the new employee feel at home, because employee is an asset for the organization. So his comfort is very much important. In this, further he states that it generates a feeling of belongingness to the organization. In other words, orientation orients, directs and guides the employee to understand the work, to understand the firm and to understand the colleagues and mission of the organization. Means it is all about to induct him or to socializing him towards the work, towards the colleagues, towards the organization, towards the mission, vision and policy and practices of the organization. It introduces new emphases to the organization and to the new task managers and work groups. Thus, after selecting compatible personnel, the organization must communicate to the new employee the philosophy, policies, customs and practices of the organization. It is must, as early as the new employee will be aware about these things, he will become the comfortable. The new employee is handed over, sometimes he is handed over with some printed material also, like rule books, policy manuals, progress reports, company booklets and documents which are containing company information and which are informational in nature. Induction is the responsibility of human resource department to execute in a proper way. Planned induction helps the new employee. It creates a good attitude. It creates a good attitude in the employee towards the organization. It reduces labor turnover and the employee feel at home right from the very beginning in the organization. Students, now we will further know the objectives of induction program. An organization, especially a large one, should have a systematic induction program to achieve the objectives like the first, to reduce the initial anxiety and stress all new entrants feel when they join a new job in an organization. The second objective must be to build up the new employee's confidence in the organization and confidence in the himself so that he may become an efficient employee. And if he will be an efficient employee, then he will promote a feeling of belongingness and loyalty towards the organization. The next objective of induction program is to provide favorable initial job experience to the candidate and to answer any queries and questions and to clarify any doubt or specific problem. The next objective of induction program is to understand the firm in a broad sense, the past, the present, the value system of the firm, the culture and the vision, as well as the key facts such as the structure of the organization, the product which are being promoted, which are being delivered, the promotional channels, the policies, procedures, rules, regulations, and practices. These must be aware to the new recruited employee. The next objective of induction program is to bring an agreement between the organization goals, or let's say organization expectations, and the personal goals of the employee. The next objective of induction program is to foster self-directed behavior, which is always come from inside, which is consistent with the company's need. The next objective of induction program is to familiarize the new employee with the job, to familiarize the new employee with people, to familiarize him with workplace, work environment, and the organization. Because as soon as he will become familiarized, he will start working very promptly and properly. The next objective of induction program is to assist the new employee in acquiring appropriate role behavior and to adjust to the work group and its norms. Students, we can also say that the objective of induction program is to create a sense of security for the worker, sense of security in his job, by impressing upon the idea that fairness to the worker is the inherent policy of the organization, and to reduce employee turnover and startup cost. The last objective, which is described in this module, is to reduce the time it takes for newcomer to reach proficiency. Proficiency is a major characteristics which leads towards the attainment of organizational goals. Student, after coming across the induction program, the definition, the concept of induction program, the characteristics of induction program, and the objectives of induction program, now we will focus towards the section types of induction program. According to a classification, induction program may be of following types. The first, informal or unplanned induction, and the second, formal or planned induction. Informal and unplanned induction. It is generally done by the small scale units. This may be simple for an organization, and this may be simply an introduction to the new entrant about the job and the organization, about the work to be done and the organizational philosophies. It can be conducted by the immediate job supervisor or by an experienced employee. Generally, this informal approach or unplanned approach is adopted in small scale units. The next type of induction program is formal program or planned induction program. It is usually carried out by the large size organization to integrate the newcomer into the organization. It is carefully designed to introduce the newcomer to his job, to his colleagues, and the organization. Accordingly, the content of the formal or planned induction program covers the following, or let's say covers the following points. The first content of formal induction program may be the company, mission of company, goals, rules, policies, practices, history, and products, processes and other promotional measures, production aspects, and other major operational aspects involved in the job. This part as a content could be the major part of the formal induction program. Formal induction program also covers the significance of job for the organization, the job training, importance of job training, and hazards related to the job. The planned induction program also covers employees' own department and his own job, and it also describes how they fit into the organization. It tells about the methods of reporting and other aspects like absenteeism and all. In the planned induction, the terms of condition of service, hours of work and rules about overtime, description about employee benefits, holidays and vacations, and other amenities and welfare facilities are described. In the planned induction, organizational structure, functional differentiation of various departments are described. In the planned induction program, the employee will get aware about social benefits, the grievance procedures, and the rules of discipline. In this, we also include follow-up interview at the end of 3 or 6 months. Students, on the basis of purpose and objectives, an induction program can also be classified into 3 types. And these are general orientation, specific orientation, and follow-up orientation. In general orientation, we can say that it is conducted by personnel department. This type of induction is general. It gives the necessary general information about the history and operations of the organization. It also provides the purpose, and it also built employees' pride and interest in the organization. Information is also given on specific employee services such as social benefits, pensions, health and welfare plans, safety programs, etc. The next, after general orientation, we can see the next is specific orientation. This type of orientation, which is specific, is conducted by the immediate job supervisor. This is specific in nature, and this requires skills on the part of the foreman. The employee is oriented into his department or place of work. He is introduced to other employees of the department, and he is informed about the organizational's specific practices and customs such as lunch timing, length of rest periods, and various dress code, etc. The purpose of this specific orientation program is to enable an employee to adjust himself in his work environment. On the basis of purpose and objective, the third classification is follow-up orientation. It takes place within 1 week to 6 months from the time of initial hiring and orientation. It is conducted either by a foreman or a human resource specialist. Its purpose is to find out whether the employee is satisfied or unsatisfied with the workplace, how he feels about his fellow workers, and how he feels about his boss, and whether he has any suggestions for improvement in orientation. The interviewer records the answers as well as his own comments on the employee progress. At the same time, the immediate supervisor does an evaluation of the employee about his strong and weak points. Through personal talks, guidance, and counseling, efforts are made to remove the difficulties. Students, after learning the types of induction program, in this section, we will focus on the phases of induction program. Edwin B. Filippo described these things in 3 phases. In first phase, he says that it is usually conducting by staff personnel unit. Means the first phase of induction program is conducted by the staff personnel unit. In this phase, the newly recruited employee is made aware about the product of the company, about the employee benefits, about the salary schedules, about the safety measures, about the probation period, holidays, equal employment opportunity program, parking facilities, and grievance procedures. The second phase, according to Filippo, is it is performed by immediate supervisor. The new employee is introduced to fellow employees. The new employee is given a tour to the department and informed about such details as locker and restrooms, supply procedures, hours of work, overtime, call-in procedures, rest and lunch periods, and lunching facility. The third phase, which is related to follow-up phase, which is conducted after some week later. This is conducted by either the supervisor or by a specialist, by a human resource specialist. And it is concerned with employee satisfaction with the job and the organization, whether the recruited employee is satisfied with the job or not, as well as it is concerned with supervisor's satisfaction with the employee, whether supervisor is also satisfied with the employee performance or not. Dissatisfaction may be cleared up by explanation or actual transfer to a different job. Students, now we will look some approaches of induction. Based on the manager's attitude to induction, resources, objectives, he adopts several types of induction approaches. Organizations adopt several approaches to induction, out of which some are more complex and some are larger in duration than others. We will discuss some of these approaches like induction park approach, initial briefing approach, walk and talk approach, and induction training approach. The first approach, which is induction pack approach. Under this approach, the new employee is provided with various information material in writing, which we call induction pack. This may include annual reports of the organization, briefing about corporate structure, history of the organization, something about its future plans, vision, layout for car parking, the staff canteen and other facilities, terms and condition of employment, and procedure of disciplinary and grievance handling. All these are covered in induction pack approach. Next approach is initial briefing approach. Under this approach, the new employee is explained about main points of induction pack by the HR practitioner. At this stage, a favorable picture of the organization, especially in terms of its employment policies, is shown to the newly appointed employee. A detailed briefing about the organization is not normally offered at this stage. The next approach, which we will discuss, is walk and talk approach. Under this approach, the new employee is visited to actual work sites and is given explanation about each work activity of each place. At the end, the employee is taken to the department in which he will work, and then a more detailed explanation of what happens in that department is given to the employee. This is a good time to introduce the new employee to the staff, to the colleagues, and to the subordinates also. The fourth approach, after induction pack, initial briefing, walk and talk approach, the fourth approach is induction training. A large number of organizations have adopted it as it is most successful and effective form of induction. In induction training approach, a number of training sessions are conducted and each session deal with a particular subject, and each session is usually delivered by a person who has a specialization in that particular area. The duration of training session varies and sometimes they are stacked across a number of days or even weeks. And the duration depends on the amount and complexity of the information which is to be delivered. And that also depends upon work profile of the newly employed person. So students, let's summarize what we have learnt in this module. Placing the right man at the right job is as important as hiring the right person. It is therefore desired to have a sound scheme of placement in every organization so that the employee feel comfortable on their new job. After going through the module, we also summarize that a good placement program makes the employee suitable for the job. A good placement program increases the satisfaction level and productivity of the employee. And it also provides continuous learning to enhance the morale of the employee. We have also learned that induction is a technique by which a new employee is rehabilitated into the surroundings and he is introduced to the practices, policies and purpose of the organization. Students, in this unit we have understood that inductions may be viewed as the socialization process by which organization seeks to make an individual its agent for achievement of organization goals, and at the same time individuals seek to make an agency of the organization for achievement of his personal goals. We have seen that induction programs are classified into 3 phases. First phase, it is usually conducted by the staff personnel unit. In this phase, the recruited employee is made aware about the product of the company, about the history, philosophy, strategy, policies and benefits. In the second phase of induction program, which is generally performed by the immediate supervisor, the inductee is introduced to the fellow employees, given a tour to the department, and he is informed about the detail as hours of work, detail of overtime, rest and lunch periods. We have also seen that in third phase, or we can say this phase as a follow-up phase, which is conducted either by the supervisor or by the personnel specialist. It consists of interim reviews and feedback, and it is concerned with employee satisfaction with the job and supervisor satisfaction with the employee's performance. Students, in this module we have seen that planned induction program help the new employee in creating a good attitude which reduces labor turnover and employee feels at home right from the beginning of job. Students, thank you so much for patience listening and visiting EPG Pathshala.